I only accidentally liked a post on the fiancé of the CEO's moments. I didn't expect that very night he'd hold an emergency meeting. Using the excuse that I was disturbing the company atmosphere, he docked my entire month's salary, and then immediately gave the new assistant a luxury car worth $1 million. Everyone looked at me with sympathy. They thought I would lash out in a frenzy. But I calmly packed up all my things at my workstation and handed in my resignation right in front of him. Just docking a colleague's salary for bullying isn't enough. I voluntarily resigned. As soon as I said that, the young assistant, Han Yu-young, James, how can you resign over such a small matter? You've been at the company for so long, and Mr. Lin has always treated you so well. You resigning like this in front of everyone. How will people view him? Mr. Lin, come persuade James too. Lin Amon originally wanted to persuade me, but after hearing what Han Yu-young said, she flared up too. Persuade him for what? If he wants to leave, then let him leave. I stand upright and act righteously. I'm not afraid of what anyone has to say. Zhuan Ji took my resignation letter. After signing it, he flung it right in my face. The onlooking colleagues all stared at me, waiting to watch the drama unfold. But I didn't argue like I used to. Instead, I remained calm and picked up an egg from the ground. I'll leave after I finish the handover. No need for a handover. If you want to leave, go now. He had eaten so much antelope bow. As if suddenly remembering something, he spoke again in a cold, bone-chilling tone. I've never made it up to you. Strong and firm. Colleagues who had a good relationship with me tried to persuade me to admit my fault and bow my head. Don't act on impulse. They all understood. This company was something I built from the ground up alongside Lin Anwan, back when the company lacked funds. I drank myself sick, vomiting blood just to pull in investors when the business couldn't deliver. I led a small team to work 3 nights straight. Every operation, I poured my heart and soul into it. Leaving now is like giving up everything, but my mind was made up. I gave them a final glance, then packed my things and turned to leave. Before I walked out, I clearly saw Lin Anwan. A flicker of complexity flashed across her beautiful face. I knew she thought I wouldn't really go. We had countless fights in the past because of Han Yu-young. The worst time, Lin Anwan scolded me in front of everyone. She gave him my entire annual bonus as compensation. I was so angry I nearly blacked out. But when it came time to leave, I still held back. Pretended like nothing had happened. Went back to her and softened my tone. Then got back to work like always, pretending none of it ever took place. She thought I'd convince myself to stay again this time. But what she didn't know was that I had already run out of patience with her. Just as I walked out of the company, a text message came through. I opened it. It was a transfer from a friend. This morning when Lin Anwan said the company wasn't doing well, and that she had to cut my salary, my first reaction was to worrying about her feeling too much pressure. I immediately reached out to a friend and borrowed $500,000. Originally, I planned to give it to her, but instead, I accidentally saw a post Han Yu-young made on Moments, and only then did I realize Lin Anwan's true intentions. But at that moment, to my surprise, I felt incredibly calm inside. Not sad, not jealous to the point of madness. Maybe because it had happened too many times. That Lin Anwan always chose Han Yu-young. She had done too many outrageous things to me. So many that I could hardly tell anymore whether I was her boyfriend or Han Yu-young was. I returned the money to my friend and apologized to him. Then I walked to the parking garage. Found that beat-up little car I'd driven for 10 years. Its paint was chipped in several places. Parked right next to it was a brand new Porsche, the very same one Lin Anwan had just given to Han Yu-young today. There were plenty of open spots in the garage, but he just had to park right here. It was clearly a provocation aimed at me. I had been with Lin Anwan for 10 years. but I couldn't compare to Han Yu-young, who had only been here 10 months. I let out a bitter laugh at myself, then without further hesitation, I stepped on the gas and left the company I had worked at for years. But just as I exited the company gate, someone rear-ended me. I got out of the car and saw that stepping out of the car behind me were Lin Anwan and Han Yu-young together. "James, why'd you brake so suddenly?" I didn't even have time to react, Han Yu-young said as he walked up, looking heartbroken at the dented front of his car. "What a shame! This was personally picked out by Miss Lin." Lin Anwan's face grew darker and darker. "James, back in the garage. I saw you staring at Yu-young's car. Be honest, was it on purpose? You knew he was behind you and slammed the brakes on purpose." I almost laughed at the absurdity. Here we go again, blaming me without figuring out what actually happened. Han Yu-young let out a sigh. "Forget it, Miss Lin. Let's not blame James anymore. It's normal for him to be mad at me. After all, he lost his job because of me. In the end, it's all my fault. If only I could have done more." As he spoke, he clenched his fist in frustration and swung it toward his forehead. But just before hitting himself, he deliberately held back, pretending to hit. Yet Lin Anwan couldn't see through the act. She gently rubbed his forehead, hard, aching for him. Her voice tender, "It's not your fault. Don't shoulder everything on your own." Then she turned to me and jabbed my forehead hard. "Can't you learn from Yu-young a little? Take some responsibility. He at least knows how to stay humble. You've worked for so many years, and you're still this immature and arrogant." She shoved me back against the wall. Once I collected myself, I found it somewhat funny this past year. Han Yu-young had been stealing my credit, playing tricks and manipulating people. Now he was praised as humble and responsible, while I had become the childish, arrogant one. I couldn't be bothered to argue with her anymore. Turned around and tried to leave, but Lin Anwan stopped me again. I thought she was going to defend Han Yu-young again, but she actually pulled me aside and said earnestly, "James, I expect a lot from you. That's why I've always been strict with you. Why can't you understand that?" Listening to her soft voice, I felt confused for a moment, but I quickly saw through her intentions. Lin Anwan patted my shoulder, calm and affectionate. "I'll take back your resignation. Think it over carefully. Apologize to Yu-young, and also about the rear-end incident you're fully responsible. Whatever the damages cost, transfer it to Yu-young." I snapped out of it. Looked up at Han Yu-young. He probably already knew exactly what Lin Anwan was going to say. There was a smug look on his face, and he even rolled his eyes at me provocatively. I let out a cold laugh. "I'm not paying for it. If you rear-end someone, you take the blame yourself. If that's a problem, call the cops. Anything else, I'm leaving first." I turned around and walked away. Lin Anwan stomped her feet angrily behind me. "I already gave you a chance. Don't come back regretting it." "I won't regret it." I got back into my car, sent a message to my friend. "I quit. I can start working at your company tomorrow." Not even half a second later, my friend called me back. His tone was full of surprise. "Are you serious?" He sounded unsure of himself. "What about Lin Anwan?" Back then, he and Lin Anwan had started their businesses around the same time. My friend had abundant resources and offered very attractive terms. He promised me higher shares and profits, hoping I'd join to help him out. Even after finding out about my relationship with Lin Anwan, he made a rare exception and offered to let me work part-time. But I still turned him down because of Lin Anwan. She once saved my life when I was at my lowest. For her, I gave up everything, poured my entire heart into building our business, helped her company grow step by step. But now looking back, she doesn't seem to care at all. And after all these years, I've more than repaid the debt I owed her. There's no reason for me to keep sacrificing myself. From now on, I'll make decisions for myself. I chatted with my friend a bit more. We confirmed the time to sign the contract. Then I drove home to pack up. I paid for this apartment in full, but it was filled with memories of me and Lin Anwan. I didn't want to live here anymore. I started cleaning under the bed and found a stack of paintings. The girl in the paintings was Lin Anwan, lonely, melancholic, peeling apples, putting on makeup, all portraits I once drew for her. She used to really love them, treated each one like a treasure, framed them and stored them carefully. But ever since Han Yu-young appeared, he started saying painting was a waste of time, that it was better to just take a photo with a camera. He tossed those words under the bed along with the sketches. The paper had yellowed and wrinkled with age. The portraits had faded too. I let out a bitter laugh, then threw them all into the basin in the bathroom. Lit a match, the fire devoured the paintings, till nothing was left but a handful of ash, just like our love, burned to nothing without either of us realizing it. After doing that, I kept cleaning, throwing out anything unnecessary. I didn't know much, but the room suddenly felt much more empty and spacious. I flopped down onto the sofa, picked up my phone, planning to look for a rental near my friend's company. But the moment I tapped open the app, I saw a new photo posted by Han Yu-young in the company group chat. It was a photo of him and Lin Anwan together. The background was the arcade. She was hugging a pile of stuffed animals, smiling brightly at the camera. That smile was so radiant. I hadn't seen her smile like that in a long time. When I took her to the arcade before, she had barely stepped inside, glanced around at the games, then turned and left, called me childish, said she was too busy, didn't have time for things like that, said it was all just boring nonsense. She didn't have time for me then, but she had time to be there like a child with him now. I scoffed. It wasn't that she thought I was childish. She just didn't like me anymore. In the group chat, coworkers all began gushing with praise, saying the photo looked amazing. Someone even complimented the photographer's skills. A few even joked, asking if the two of them were about to announce something. Everyone in that group knew I was Lin Anwan's boyfriend, but they still dared to make jokes like that. All because at work, Lin Anwan never once tried to hide her flirtation with Han Yu-young. If it were the old me, I probably would have gotten angry again. I would have called Ling Yang Wang and told him to watch his boundaries. But now, I just felt calm, pretended I hadn't seen anything, and went back to doing my own thing. Who would have thought just 2 minutes later, several messages in the group chat had been retracted. The first being the one Han Yu-young posted. The photo had been deleted too. I thought Lin Anwan wouldn't come home until late at night again. But not long after, she walked into the living room with a phone pressed to her ear, still on a call with Han Yu-young. Her face lit up with joy. When she saw me, she looked guilty for a split second. Then her expression turned cold. She even rolled her eyes at me on purpose, then pushed the bedroom door open and went in. I knew she was waiting for me to coax her. Every time we had a disagreement at work, I was always the one thinking of ways to apologize, begging for her forgiveness. Even when she was the one in the wrong, I'd swallow my pride and admit fault anyway. I used to think that was what I was supposed to do, whether it was to repay her kindness or to preserve this relationship. But now it all just felt pointless. I lowered my head and continued with what I was doing. Soon enough, she came out of the room with a dark expression. "Did you see the message in the group chat?" "What message?" I asked, feigning ignorance. Didn't even look up. But I could feel her let out a quiet breath of relief. Nothing, just a work message that got sent to the wrong chat. I couldn't even be bothered to expose her lie. I was just wondering, how many things between her and Han Yu-young had she hidden from me? Things I still had no idea about. Is Leon's car fixed? What about yours? I didn't answer. So Lin Anwan spoke again. I knew she was trying to offer me a way out. If this were before, I would have taken it as a sign that she forgave me. and eagerly tried to please her. But now, I didn't even look up. That broken down car isn't worth fixing. There's nothing worth repairing on it. Lin frowned. What's that supposed to mean? I looked up at her in confusion, not understanding what she was dissatisfied with. That car had gotten scratched up so many times before. Every time I said I'd fix it, she'd just give the same dismissive response. I thought she was about to lose her temper again. But unexpectedly, she just exhaled. I know you're still upset about what happened at the company, but Yu Yang's performance has actually been pretty decent lately. I gave him the car to try and keep someone talented like him around. When I heard that, I almost laughed out loud. Han Yu Yang was brought into the company by Lin Enwan through favoritism. She bent the rules just to hire him. His work performance was an absolute mess. He made more mistakes than I could count on both hands. From minor things like offering plain water to clients during meetings, while ordering milk tea for himself, to major blunders like sending the base price sheet instead of the actual quote list to our partners, which cost the company hundreds of thousands in losses. Keeping him was worse than keeping a beau. If I didn't already know how things worked inside the company, I might have actually believed her. I didn't say a word. Then Lin added, "You're my boyfriend. When we get married, won't the company be yours too? Why get so hung up on a little salary difference? Why do you have to make such a big deal out of it? Everything I do is for the company's benefit. I just don't want the other employees to think I'm showing favoritism." But I knew perfectly well those were just excuses. Inside the company, everyone knew exactly how Lin Enwan treated me compared to Han Yu Yang. The project I had stayed up 3 nights to finish. On a whim, she handed it off to Han Yu Yang. He just made a single PowerPoint, and it became Han Yu Yang's achievement. I had been negotiating with the client for days and was close to signing the contract. He used my name, took Han Yu Yang to have dinner with the client, and the contract was suddenly credited to Han Yu Yang. Things like this were too many to count. Over time, other colleagues started to think Lin Enwan favored Han Yu Yang more. Some even believed she didn't like me at all. Because of this, I endured many cold stares and bullying at the company. She saw it all but pretended not to. I didn't want to explain myself. After all, even if I did, she'd just say I was making excuses. I replied indifferently, "You don't need to tell me these things. I have nothing to do with the company anymore. Whatever you want to do, just do as you please." Lin didn't say anything. In the end, she sighed, walked up to me, tiptoed and wrapped her arms around my neck. Her breath warm like orchid petals. "Actually, I have selfish reasons too. I wanted you to take some time off these days, so you could think about our wedding. When do you plan to propose to me?" She asked with a mocking smile. But I'd already proposed many times before. Every time she turned me down. Every time we fought, she would bring up marriage to appease me again. Sometimes I didn't feel like her boyfriend at all. More like a dog she led around in circles. I stayed silent. Lin, as if teasing a dog, scratched my chin lightly. "Don't be mad. Give me a smile, will you?" As she spoke, she acted like she was trying to please me, leaning in toward me deliberately. And again, I caught the scent on her. The cologne that belonged to Han Yu Yang. It made my stomach turn. I shoved her away, frowning in disgust, then pulled out a wet tissue to wipe my hands. Lin stood there like she'd been struck by lightning, frozen in place, stunned. "You're disgusted by me. I still have something to do at the gala tonight. I'm going to change first." After saying that, I turned and headed back to my room. She tried to follow me, but I didn't hesitate to shut the door and lock it from inside. "Jackson, you better not regret this." She really sounded angry this time. After throwing out her threat, she kicked the door hard and stormed off in a fury. When I came out of the room later, the living room was already empty. In the company group chat, Lin had posted a message saying she was treating everyone to dinner. and asked who wanted to join. The group went completely silent. Only Han Yu-young replied with 3 excited emojis in a row. I knew Lin was doing it on purpose to provoke me. It wasn't the first or second time either. She always did this. Other colleagues didn't want to go. Only Han Yu-young was enthusiastic as ever. If this had been before, I would have followed out of jealousy and ended up being mocked by both of them. Now I couldn't be bothered. I changed and went to check the apartment I planned to rent. After confirming everything was fine, I paid the rent, then contacted a real estate agent to sell my current place. This apartment was bought with my own money. I had personally overseen the entire renovation, but the property deed bore Lin's name. Back then, we didn't have much. To give her a sense of security, I used all my savings to buy this home. Now that the company had expanded, this apartment probably wasn't even worth Lin's attention anymore. The agent said she needed to be present to sell the place. If she couldn't make it, I'd need her to sign a power of attorney. So I sent her a message. A red exclamation mark popped up in the chat window. He blocked me. He used to do that too. Whenever we fought badly, Lin would block me and leave the house. I worried about his safety and would humbly borrow someone else's phone to call him, asking him to unblock me. He'd act all high and mighty on the other end and ask if I had it. Looking back, I've said countless insincere things to appease him. After thinking it over, I still called him, told him I'd come back tonight, had something to discuss. What is it? I'm busy. His voice was cold. I bit my lower lip. Let's talk when I get back. Lin was steady as ever. You push me away, I'll step back. But now you want me to come back, so I'm coming back. Jackson, do I owe you anything? So this is your way of apologizing? Have I been too good to you lately? You've forgotten how to say sorry. I lowered my voice as usual. I'm sorry, it's my fault. I've come back so many times already. Coming back once more won't hurt. And this time, my apology might even get me the house. As expected, Lin's tone brightened a bit. Wait for me, he said, and hung up. I felt calm inside. Posted the house online to sell it as soon as possible. I even lowered the price deliberately. After finishing that, I contacted a friend to sign the contract. My friend was so excited, kept asking if I was dreaming. Even held a celebration dinner specially for it. I wanted to go home early, but then I thought, I didn't know when Lin would be back. Coming home early wouldn't hurt, so I agreed. After a few rounds of drinks, when I went to the restroom, I heard a familiar voice from the next private room. Ready for the next segment. Whenever you are. I stopped in my tracks. Peering through the narrow crack of the door, I saw Lin nestled in Harry's arms. I didn't know what they were saying. Lin smiled so brightly it seemed like flowers were blooming all over her. Harry quickly took the chance to lean down and kissed her on the lips. Lin froze on the spot, but didn't push him away. Lin, when are you and Jackson breaking up? I can't wait to be with you. Do you know how painful it is to see you with him every day? Do you still prefer Jackson more? Harry said helplessly. Lin moved her lips, as if wanting to say something. But in the end, Harry interrupted, patting his back lightly like a child. In my heart, how could he compare to you? It's just that now the company is bigger. Breaking up with him and being with you. I'm afraid of what others might say and how it might affect you. So just wait a little longer. It won't be long. So that's how it is. I knew Lin loved me the most. They cuddled closely, just like a couple. I scoffed and stopped watching. Back in the private room, I drank a few more cups. Everyone reminisced about the past. The party didn't end until dawn, when we entered the underground parking lot. My friend pulled me toward a fully loaded Porsche, asked if I liked it. I nodded, clueless, thinking it was the car he just bought. Praise was on the tip of my tongue. But instead, my friend shoved a set of car keys into my hand. For you, your old car is falling apart. I couldn't stand it anymore. So here's a new one for you. I was about to refuse. He wanted to hear what I'd say. He even knew. I heard Lin gave a car to the new guy at the company. With his lousy skills, he can still drive a luxury car. Of course, you can't be worse than him. Speaking of which, I saw what that newbie made. His style changes all the time. Clearly, it's plagiarism. I really don't understand how he still stays at the company. Maybe it's because of alcohol. My friend complained to me without holding back. I remained silent. What he said was true. Those works were completed by me and my deskmate. Every time it was about to finish, Lin would ask to hand it over to Harry. That's why Harry's style is so varied. Even someone outside the company could see the problem. But Lin seemed completely unaware. I wanted to decline. My friend got angry. This isn't a gift for you. It's deducted from your salary. Don't disappoint me. I naturally thought. The price of this car. If it's really deducted from my salary, at my income, it'd take years to pay off. I knew this was just my friend's excuse, so I didn't refuse again and apologized to him. But he said a few more words. We all ordered designated drivers. Each went home separately. I thought Lin hadn't come back yet, but when I opened the door, I saw him sitting on the living room sofa. Where did you go? Wasn't it agreed we'd meet? Do you know how long I waited? Lin asked angrily. I was a bit surprised. Usually when he and Harry go out, it's till the early morning, 3 or 4 a.m., and today he came back so early. Really strange. Thinking of him and Harry hugging in the hotel, I felt sick. Went out to eat with friends. I said that and walked into the living room, taking the power of attorney out of my bag. I had only taken a couple of steps when Lin suddenly stopped me. He frowned. You're still drinking? Didn't I tell you not to drink when I'm not around? I couldn't help but wonder. Did he mean that I could only drink when I was helping him socialize? I said nothing. But Lin seemed to realize something. Suddenly, he smiled. His face was covered in acne scars. You're still mad because I went out with Harry, aren't you? If you didn't want me to eat alone with him, just say so. Why drink so much then? You're overthinking. My drinking has nothing to do with you too. I steadied myself on a chair and sat down, handing him the house sale power of attorney. Take a look at this. Lin raised his eyebrows. Instead of looking proud, it seemed like he wanted to see what kind of guarantee it was. I'll tell you. Apologizing now is already too late. I'm still dealing with the sound tester from this afternoon. Don't think some little tricks like this can make me forgive you. Seeing how smug he looked, I felt like maybe I really did make him angry before. And to cheer him up, I had handwritten a guarantee letter. Now that I think about it, he wasn't completely wrong, but it was me who handed over my pride, letting him trample on it. It wasn't a guarantee letter. It was a surprise, I said calmly. Lin raised his eyebrows. Curious, he was about to open it when my phone rang. Seeing the caller ID, his eyes lit up. Wait a moment. I have to take this call. Lin raised his hand and answered. Boss Lin, I hit someone with the car. What should I do? I'm so scared. Harry's voice was full of grievance. Lin's expression darkened. Send me the location. I'm coming over right now. After saying that, he stood up to leave, completely ignoring how I felt. I stepped in front of him into strides. I placed the power of attorney in front of him. So you want to deal with my matters first, huh? I was the one who started talking. Besides, this document needs a signature. It's quite urgent. Lin paused for a moment. He looked up at me briefly, then sighed. Jared, can't you show some empathy? He's more anxious over there than you are. The way you're acting, all jealous and stubborn. really makes you look bad. I felt like maybe I did look bad. That drunken Harry driving scene. I was too tired to argue with him. So I just put the power of attorney in his hand. With no intention of taking it back, Lynn said nothing more, flipping through the papers. Before he could even look closely, Harry's shrill scream came through the phone again. How could you hit someone? Boss Lynn, don't worry. I'm heading over right now. Lynn comforted Harry while hastily flipping to the last page. After signing, he clicked his high heels and left quickly. Watching his flustered retreating back, I couldn't help but ask, aren't you going to check what you just signed? What's the point of looking? The surprise you brought me is nothing more than a few small contracts. As long as you're sure the terms are okay. After saying that, he left without looking back. I could only laugh. In the past, to make him happy, I would secretly negotiate deals behind his back. At first, he was very happy, but as the company grew, he began to look down on those small companies that fought their way up just like him. Before every contract signing, he worried about mistakes, so he'd check the contract terms repeatedly. Now, worried about Harry. He doesn't even know what he just signed, but maybe that's for the best. It saved a lot of trouble. That night, Lynn didn't come back, but Harry sent me a lot of messages. Jared, I know you saw everything outside the private room, but you should also know. Lynn's heart leans toward me. One call from me, and he'd rush to me without hesitation. You'd better step back early, otherwise things will get ugly for everyone. I couldn't help but chuckle foolishly. It seemed Harry was truly trapped by the situation. I knew very well, even if I sent the chat logs to Lynn, it wouldn't help. He spoils Harry too much. Even when provoked, he'd only think I was trying to understand him. But I wasn't generous enough to ignore his repeated provocations, pretending to be invincible. Congratulations! But if one day Lynn gets tired of you, remember to step back on your own too. I knew this sentence wasn't very threatening, but once it was said, Harry's heart probably hardened. Sure enough, as soon as the message was sent, he quieted down. I also went to rest early. When dawn came, I sent the power of attorney with Lynn's name on it to the realtor. That afternoon, someone came to see the house. He was satisfied with the location, the layout, and price as well. But he was curious about my urgency to sell. How come such a nice house is sold for such a low price? Is there something wrong with it? He was cautious. I briefly told him. It was a new house I bought before, but the engagement with my fiancée was called off. He showed understanding. The yard and the decoration. This courtyard and the decoration were all done by my fiancée herself. She is a professional interior designer. The beer nodded approvingly. I could tell he was genuinely impressed. After some discussion, he decided to buy, and we quickly settled on the price. The sale went smoothly without any hitches. After the beer left, I sat back and sighed. This house held too many memories. I wasn't sure if I was selling a home or letting go of the past. The phone rang again. This time it was Lynn. Where are you? She asked anxiously. I told her I was finishing up some paperwork. She sighed in relief. I'll come by later then. I didn't want her to come, but I didn't say no. Maybe I was still holding on to something. Or maybe I just didn't want to be alone. Later that night, I stayed up thinking about everything that had happened. The broken engagement, the betrayal, the lies, but also about hope. Hope for a new beginning. For a future where I could finally be myself, and not the man everyone expected me to be. As the city lights flickered outside the window, I made a silent promise to myself to move forward no matter what, to find peace within the chaos, and maybe one day, to find happiness again. The night was long, but for the first time in a while, I felt a flicker of something like hope, something like a fresh start. And maybe that was enough for now. I put down my pen and closed the documents, ready to face whatever tomorrow might bring. With or without Lynn by my side. Because in the end, I had to be the one to save myself, and that was just the beginning. Is this because of me? I couldn't help but sneer. At that moment, Lin suddenly turned back for some reason. Seeing me, he straightened up a bit. Then, he instinctively slipped out from Han Young's arms. His expression looked a little guilty. "Why are you back at this time?" Han Young said. "I just felt like this was somehow my fault." Embarrassed. "Brother James, I was just asking how Mr. Lin washes vegetables." Don't get me wrong, though he said it out loud. His eyes looking at me were filled with pride and curiosity. He was impatiently waiting to see me break down. Jealous you. In the past, I probably would have gotten angry again. Had a big fight with Lin, threatened to kick Han Young out. But I had already gotten used to it. Besides, I was about to leave soon. The house had already been sold. The deposit was already in the account. I really didn't want to bother. Then you two go ahead and be busy. I'll go into the house first, I said calmly, and stepped toward the bedroom. Han Young was stunned for a moment. His eyes showed some confusion, as if he didn't understand my reaction. Lin probably had already prepared for me to be angry. But seeing me so calm, his tone became a bit unnatural. Jin unexpectedly started explaining to me, "Today is Young's birthday. He wanted to spend it with us. So that's why I brought him over." If it were before, he wouldn't say so much. He would just roll his eyes at me, then coldly say, "If you don't like it, then leave." I was so conflicted inside that I didn't know what to think. I didn't care anymore. But he was the one explaining to me now. Still, I had to think. He couldn't even remember my birthday. Yet I was fortunate enough to celebrate Han Young's birthday. Well then, enjoy your celebration, I said calmly and walked into the bedroom. Most of my things were already packed. The items I didn't use often had long been sent to the new rented place. Only some daily clothes and books remained here. I was just wondering whether to finish packing today. Suddenly, the door was pushed open. Han Young walked in, carrying a small piece of cake in his hand. He casually glanced around the room, then laughed out loud. The room was much emptier than the last time I came. "Looks like you've been obedient. Getting ready to leave." I ignored him, kept my head down, continuing to chat with friends on my phone about moving. Han Young, being ignored, pouted his face and took a few steps toward me. "I'm talking to you. Are you deaf?" I shot him a cold glance. "What's the point of caring so much anyway? You're not moving in here anyway." That simple sentence somehow enraged him. His face instantly darkened. He raised his hand to grab my collar. Before I could react, footsteps suddenly came from the door. Han Young threw the cake onto the floor. Jin cried out and fell to the ground. "What's wrong with Young?" Lin pushed the door open, pushed me aside roughly, quickly helped Han Young up. I staggered back a few steps. Shards of broken porcelain pierced my slippers and stabbed the heel of my foot. Fresh red blood quickly welled up from the wound, but Lin seemed not to notice. She just looked at Han Young with concern. The white scratch marks on her hand hadn't even faded. "Sorry, Mr. Lin. It's me again making Brother James angry. It's my birthday, and I wanted everyone to have some cake. So I gave Brother James a piece. But I didn't expect he didn't like cake." Han Young's eyes were red-rimmed. He looked at Lin with a helpless and lost expression. If I weren't involved, I might have been confused too. But I never said I didn't like cake. On the contrary, maybe because I rarely got birthday cake, I liked it very much. Every birthday I would keep talking about it. Lin even teased me before, saying few men liked cake as much as I did. But Han Young's presence almost made me forget my own taste. He pointed at me angrily. If you don't like it, can you just throw plates and shove people around? James, I thought you had learned your lesson, but you're still the same. Hurry up and apologize to Young. Otherwise, I can't bear a jealous husband like you. Let's just break up. He glared at me. His fierce look made me laugh. I couldn't help but think again about what I heard outside the private room that day, when things were worst before. He had threatened to break up with me too, but I couldn't bear it. Every time I was the first to soften and persuade him. Once I even humbly knelt to beg him, because I thought he didn't really want to break up. It was just his way to push me away and give me an excuse to back down. Only later did I realize he had probably planned to break up long ago. That's why he always brought it up so often. But that's fine. I was already planning to break up too. Even if he didn't say it now, I would make the move. Seeing me stay silent, Lin thought I was scared. His tone softened a lot. You've been acting all mysterious these days. Probably preparing for the wedding, right? I know you don't want to break up either. Apologize to Young now. Before Lin could say goodnight, I interrupted firmly. No, I agree to the breakup. Lin's smile instantly froze. Her eyes filled with disbelief. What did you say? I thought you wanted to break up. I agree, I said calmly. But in his tone, I sensed no joy at all. Only shock and anger. James, are you crazy? You want to break up with me over something so small? He stared wide-eyed at me. I didn't understand. Isn't breaking up what he wanted? I agreed. So why this attitude from him? Han Young also looked confused. He gently tugged his sleeve. Mr. Lin, this breakup was James's own idea. Maybe don't wait for him to finish. Lin suddenly shouted fiercely. Shut up, this is between us. You have no right to speak. This was probably the first time she had been so harsh to Han Young. Han Young was stunned instantly, mouth wide open, unable to say a word. Lin seemed to realize this. Quickly softened her voice. Apologized to him quietly. That's not what I meant. You go wait outside for me. This is between us. I don't want to drag you into it. Han Young hid his disappointment. A little unwilling. But he was smart. He knew better than to provoke Lin now. So he obediently left. After he left, Lin exhaled deeply. Just as she was about to speak, his gaze suddenly dropped to the floor. His voice softened. Your foot is injured. Why didn't you say anything? I'll go get a bandage. Saying that, he walked toward the bookshelf. But I knew. It was just him trying to change the subject. Whenever he heard something he didn't want to listen to, he would interrupt our conversation by pretending to care about me. Usually, I would soften, falling into the illusion that he still cared for me. The original problem would quietly be buried deep and unnoticed. But those conflicts were never resolved. They just slowly rotted inside me. And one day, they would be unearthed again, more ferocious than before. Bandage! I remember we had some before. Lin muttered to herself, searching through the bookshelf. But she seemed to forget. He hadn't been in my room for 2 years. Back then, I was sick with a fever of 40 degrees. And he went out on a date with Han Young. Since then, to make things easier to reach, I changed the location of the medicine box. James, why are there so few things left in your room? Lin finally noticed something was off. I didn't hide it from her. I sold the house. Already found a beer. The handover is in a couple of days. You should find someone to move your things out tomorrow too. Lin trembled slightly. She was about to lose her temper, but then it seemed she remembered something. Suddenly, she laughed softly. Stop it, this house partly belongs to me too. Without my signature, how could you sell it? Is that okay, James? I know you're angry. I'll have Young leave right now, so don't make a scene. Is that alright? He still didn't believe my words. I picked up the sales contract from the table and handed it to him. At the bottom was also a power of attorney in his name. The agent said as long as there was this authorization, it was valid. By the way, the authorization is from Han. You remember it was signed the day Yu Yang got caught driving drunk. If you don't remember, it doesn't matter. It still holds legal effect. Lin took the contract, and when she flipped to the last page, her body suddenly tensed. After a brief pause, he suddenly yelled at me hysterically, without my permission. "Who let you sell the house?" I sneered. "I don't want a penny from the company, but I paid the full price for this house. It's reasonable for me to manage it. Besides, I remember you bought Han Young a new house in the suburbs before. You're not homeless either. You can move there. Reason and feeling wise, there's nothing wrong with me selling the house." Lin was speechless. Her face turned pale. I thought next he would naturally agree to break up, but unexpectedly, he forced himself to calm down. "The doctor explained to me. That house was a gift I wanted to give you, not for Han Young. Putting his name on it was just to give him a sense of belonging. If you mind, I can cross his name off another day. We've been together for so many years. How could we just break up so easily? James, I know you're angry right now, but calm down first. Let's talk about this tomorrow." After speaking, he turned and left silently. It was always like this. Whenever we argued fiercely, he would pretend to still love me and tell me to calm down on my own. Every time, I was the first to hypnotize myself, convincing myself to believe him, not to be impulsive. Then I would take the initiative to ease the tension, apologize to him, and reconcile again. At first, I really loved her. But later, I realized her heart was no longer with me. Yet I couldn't let go of the years we shared. I always felt it was worth enduring, that after passing this contradiction, things would get better. But after so long, nothing had improved. It was all just my wishful thinking. He probably thought I would still be controlled by him like before. But he was wrong. This relationship had long been worn down by endless disappointments. After Lin left, I cleaned up the broken porcelain shards on the floor and tended to my wounds. By the time I was ready to go out, Lin and Han Yu Yang had already left. Leftover food was on the table. A half-burnt candle lay on the floor. I was always responsible for cleaning the house. I never let Lin lift a finger. Over time, he got used to it. I was too lazy to clean up, thinking anyway it would be clean before handing over the house. So I planned to hire a cleaner tomorrow. After washing up, I rested. But early the next morning, when I stepped out, I saw the room had already been cleaned. Yin Yang was standing in the kitchen. I didn't know what he was busy with. "I was just about to call you." Lin smiled as he looked at my calm expression, as if nothing had happened yesterday. "I've already cleaned the house. Even disinfected it, especially. If it were before, I definitely would have pretended. I couldn't see a single one. The glass was left with waterless streaks and faint spots from mopping." Then I praised him with satisfaction, giving him enough emotional value. But now I only chuckled foolishly. A lifetime of sweet whispers between us. Lincoln noticed my cold mood. He looked a little disappointed, but he quickly smiled again and brought out to breakfasts. "This is freshly made by me. You try it." I glanced over. It was two cheeseburgers. They looked quite presentable. Honestly, this should be Lincoln's first breakfast made for me. It was supposed to be touching, but he seemed to have forgotten I was allergic to cheese. Lincoln's expression changed slightly. He hurriedly asked me to redo it. "Stop doing such futile things. A peaceful breakup is better for both of us." At the annual dinner party, he clearly remembered Han you didn't like to eat. Lamb was disliked. Ginger was disliked. But he forgot that I once accidentally had a severe allergic reaction. The current wish, Love and no love are so obvious. But Lincoln didn't seem to think so. He irritably listed these types. There's no overnight grudge between married couples. I said I had already humbled myself and done these things. Why do you still have to be so picky? Besides, I'm busy with company matters every day. Isn't sending the wrong thing normal? I nodded. Our breakup was also normal. Lincoln finally got angry. He slammed the tray heavily on the table, making a loud noise. He preferred to glare at me. Eventually, completely losing patience, he slammed the door and left. That was the beginning of our Cold War. I sighed helplessly. In the end, I still asked the cleaning staff to help tidy up. At the same time, I packed up Lincoln's things and sent them to his suburban address. Usually, when he went on business trips, I helped him pack. So finishing all this didn't take much time. The house was smoothly handed over at the agreed time. Lincoln seemed to finally realize that this breakup of mine wasn't a threat. He sent me a message to mock me. When he saw I didn't react, he frequently posted photos with Han Yu in his moments. During this time, I was busy dealing with onboarding matters. By the time I noticed, there were several messages marked as important on my phone. Only then did I realize that today he posted a photo of him and Han Yu at the wildlife park. Tomorrow, a photo of them riding a hot air balloon. The day after, he posted about the company doing well, taking Han Yu to Bali for a vacation reward. While filming, he even deliberately showed off the couple rings on his middle finger, captioned with the sad are always reckless. But no one knew. Only children who can't cry should taste more bitterness. I knew he was deliberately provoking me, waiting for me to get jealous and angry and beg him to come back. Then he would arrogantly lay out a series of conditions to me. But I really didn't care. Just as I was about to exit the page, I accidentally liked one of his moments, worried it might cause unnecessary trouble. I immediately undid it. Afterward, calmly unfollowed his moments as special attention and continued focusing on work. Because of my arrival, some projects at my friend's company became more complete, and the business talks reached a cooperation deal worth over $100 million in profit. That day, my friend and I were getting ready to attend an appointment, talking about the project contract. Lincoln, for the first time, he unexpectedly sent me a message. It was a picture. Curious, I clicked it open. What appeared before my eyes was a report. A prenatal checkup report bearing Lincoln's name. What did I feel? The next second, Lincoln messaged me again, but I didn't reply. He quickly teased, I'm just messing with you. This report is fake. But you don't ask yourself, when you saw this prenatal report, wouldn't you really feel jealous? Could you really accept that I'm carrying someone else's child? I found it somewhat amusing, but hadn't realized it just now. Only after he said that did I realize. Usually, when I saw him with other men, jealousy would surge within me. My face would flush, heart beat faster. But now, I glanced at myself in the mirror. My expression was calm, as always, peaceful. Even the heart rate on my wristband reminded me that for Lincoln to belong to someone else, I had fully accepted it. Originally, I didn't want to come back, but recalling Han Yu's previous teasing, I was too lazy to stir up trouble. So I kindly told him, since you already have a new boyfriend, don't bring up topics without boundaries anymore. It's easy for your new boyfriend to misunderstand. Scrolling back a few minutes, Lincoln's chat window showed he was typing back and forth for a few minutes. Finally, he replied, go ahead and pretend. I want to see how long you can keep it up. If you didn't still love me, why would you care so much about me? Don't think I don't know. You saw that I secretly liked your post. I found it somewhat amusing. Before, Lincoln never paid attention to me, nor to these little details. It seems that since he's been with Han Yu, he really has changed. He hadn't changed in the 9 years we were together. But for Hanyu, he changed, refusing to talk to me. Lincoln went on, saying that during this time, nothing happened between Han and me. He was willing to cooperate with me. Also, we could get back together. For his sake, I gave him one last chance. I smiled lightly. No need, I said, then hung up. Maybe he still thought I'd heard from his provocation, but it didn't matter. With time, he'd understand. I truly wanted to break up with him. At the same time, I was clear. His current attempts to win me back weren't because he still loved me. He was just worried that if our breakup late, people would gossip. Being ambiguous with Hanyu was one thing, but breaking up with me because of Hanyu was something else entirely. I ignored him, continuing to focus on my career. That night, my friend and I successfully negotiated the cooperation project. My friend was very happy. He dragged me to meet several bosses in the same industry. At the first meeting, my friend introduced me as his partner. They immediately treated me with great respect. I was pleasantly surprised. Before, when I was by Lincoln's side, although I accompanied him to meet bosses in the same circle, he always treated me like a naive employee. Over time, those bosses didn't respect me. They even made me run errands and buy things. But I can't blame him either. After all, indulging him was also the old me. After a few rounds of drinks, we got more and more on the same wavelength. At some point, one of the bosses suddenly lowered his voice and asked me, "Zhang Yan, have you offended someone? I just found out. You've been blacklisted in my industry." To make me believe, he even showed me the records. This was internal information in their field. To avoid mistakes, the upper management circulated a blacklist of people with bad conduct or a criminal record. I saw my name and photo clearly listed. The reason: disobedient to management, unable to cooperate with colleagues, jealous of new talents, no second thoughts. I also knew who was behind it. Seeing my silence, the boss said without hesitation, "Brother, I know you're not that kind of person. Someone must be messing with you. Don't worry, I'll take your name off right now." After speaking, he deleted my information. I nodded to him deeply, but inside I couldn't help but bitterly smile. Luckily now I have friends to help. But if I were an ordinary job seeker, once on that list, how could they find their way forward? That blacklist, although it helps companies avoid mistakes, no one verifies its truthfulness. People only decide based on stereotypes. The wrongfully accused suffer more and more. Those talented ones, after repeated blows, will inevitably lose their courage to push forward. What are they supposed to do then? My friend called us, saying we were still chatting. Drunk and swaying, he hooked his arm around our shoulders and led us back to continue drinking. When the party ended, my friend and I saw them all off to their cars. My friend went aside to call his girlfriend. I stood at the hotel entrance waiting for the designated driver. Not long after, I heard a voice behind me. "Brother Zhang Yan, what are you doing here?" I turned around and saw Hai Yang and Lin Enwen not far off. Han Yu Yang's arm draped around Lin Enwen's waist, their bodies pressed close, looking like a couple madly in love. Seeing me, Han Yu Yang chuckled softly. Then he lowered his voice to Lin Enwen and said, "President Lin, I get it now. Brother Zhang Yan must be here looking for you. You to talk first. I'll go away for a bit." After speaking, he started to leave. But I could tell he had no intention of actually going anywhere. Sure enough, Lin Enwen suddenly pulled him close, pressed your body against his chest, showing me their affection openly. "You're not an outsider. Why avoid me?" she said proudly, then gave me a cheeky glance. "Didn't you say not to be so cautious? Then why are you even here? But let me tell you, it's already too late. Zhang Yan, you've lost your chance. Her tone was completely different from the usual gentle look she usually showed in front of Han Yu-yang. I knew she misunderstood. I started to explain. My friend and I just came for a meal, and we're about to leave. Han Yu-yang burst out laughing. Sorry, brother Zhang Yan, I just couldn't hold it in. But I didn't expect, now that you're out of a job, you'd still be willing to be so extravagant. Dining at a place like this with friends. I could tell. His words were mocking me for pretending to be richer than I was. Zhang Yan. Lin Anwan completely ignored Han Yu-yang. She merely let out a cold sneer and kept speaking to me. Zhang Yan. Actually, during this time, many friends had advised me not to get back together with you. Told me to cut my losses in time. They all thought you no longer deserved me. Do you know how many people tried to persuade me to break up with you every single day before? And yet, I still thought of the love we once shared and tolerated you again and again. I really don't understand what exactly you ate wrong or whose nonsense you listened to that made you take the initiative to break up with me. Everyone knew how lucky you were. Only you didn't know how to cherish it at all. Lin Anwan kept rambling on and on. Yes, now his social standing far surpasses mine. So he repeatedly emphasized that between us, there was no equality in our relationship. He stayed with me only because he still remembered our old days together. Before, when he said those things, I always thought it was just emotional talk between us. It wasn't until later that I realized he meant every word. In his eyes, the reason we hadn't broken up yet was for benefits, old ties, out of charity, but never for love. Just as I was about to speak, a friend's voice came from the side. Zhang, who are these two? My friend had arrived. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. After a moment's thought, I replied that they were former colleagues, whom I happened to run into previously when Lin Anwan took me out. He never wanted to introduce me as his boyfriend. He often just said I was his colleague. I thought he'd go along with it. But who would have expected that after hearing this, his expression grew even darker? I ignored it and went on introducing the two as my friends. I had said I was coming here for a meal with friends. For some reason, his face looked terribly unpleasant. Surprisingly, Han Yu-yang was the first to respond, smiling as he asked me, "Didn't expect it, Zhang Yan. Bro, you actually have friends who can afford to treat you here. Seems like your friend's pretty loaded. What line of work are they in? Where do they work?" My friend furrowed his brow and asked me in a low voice, "What's with this guy's way of talking? He sounds like a total beau." I gave a faint smile and said it was nothing. "You'll get used to it." My friend didn't say anything more after that, but he could tell Han Yu-yang wasn't here with good intentions. He spoke lazily, just running a small business, not really rich. Han Yu-yang looked even more smug. He chuckled like a fool, and the disdain in his eyes as he looked at my friend was unmistakable. These days, business isn't easy. Must be pretty tough, Bo. Can't imagine making that kind of money through just sweat and labor. My friend quickly sensed something off in his tone. He didn't respond and quietly asked me what was going on. "You got beef with this guy?" I didn't insult him. I just spoke in a voice only the two of us could hear. "She's my ex-girlfriend, and now she's his current girlfriend." My friend already knew about how I started a tough business with Lin Anwan. He knew the hardship we'd endured together. And after I came to him, I didn't hide anything from him, including the fact that Lin Anwan and I had broken up, and the reason behind it. My friend gave a mocking laugh, should have said so earlier. He sneered at Han Yu-yang without restraint after hearing that. "You're not earning sweat money. So what do you even do for work? You don't look like some loser with no prospects. Surely you're not just mooching off some woman, right, Bo?" Han Yu-young exploded in anger. He wanted to lash out, but Lin Anwan held him back. "Stop it, Zhang Yan," she said. "I don't have the energy to play games with you anymore. I know what's bothering you. I promise you this. As long as you agree to get back together with me, I'll reinstate your position at the company and give you 10% in shares. That should satisfy you, right?" 10% before I could even think. My friend burst out laughing, a little embarrassed. I've already poached him for our company and gave him 40% of the stock. For a moment, Lin Anwan's face faltered slightly, but then she seemed to think of something else and looked at me coldly. "Zhang Yan, think carefully. Company strength isn't the same. That number alone doesn't mean anything." She was clearly implying that my friend's company was far inferior to hers in terms of development. At first, my friend's company really did land behind hers a bit, but the key was in the technology. And now that technology was gradually being perfected, they'd even secured a project worth over 100 million. The company's strength had already surpassed Lin Anwan's by a margin. What's more, I didn't believe that his company could continue to thrive under current trends. On the contrary, his way of managing things and his blatant favoritism toward Han Yu-young made me feel problems were only a matter of time. But I couldn't be bothered to say all that. After all, even if I did, he wouldn't listen. My friend didn't stoop to his level either. "Has the bow driver arrived?" he casually asked Lin Anwan, then turned to me with a lazy tone. I was just about to check the order when a bow driver's uniform came jogging over. He looked at me and said, "Boss, I'm the driver you hired. Where's the car? Mine's too flashy. Let's use yours." My friend nodded his chin toward me. I didn't think much of it, took out the keys and handed them to the driver. In less than 2 minutes, he nervously maneuvered that high-end version of the Porsche right in front of me. "Boss, this car must be pretty expensive, Bo." That's when I realized. I turned back to glance at Han Yu-young. He was staring at the car, eyes practically glowing. Lin Anwan looked like she was lost in thought. I couldn't tell what she was thinking, but her expression didn't look good either. My friend gave me a smug grin and said, "Not too expensive, just a little over 2 million. A company bonus. Alright, my bro here still needs a driver. You seem like the right fit. Interested in the job? Monthly salary's 20,000. The driver looked stunned. He rushed to ask, "For real?" "Of course. If you don't believe me, I can send you the contract right now, Bo. I'll make sure to work hard." My friend and the driver chatted enthusiastically. While on the side, Lin Anwan gave me a cold glare, then turned around and walked away. Han Yu-young quickly followed her. Meanwhile, my friend had already finished signing the contract with the driver. I was a bit surprised. "You're really hiring him?" "Of course, it was already planned. You're the pillar of our tech department. There's no way we'll avoid drinks at business events in the future. And we can't always rely on a random driver, Bo." "Isn't the salary a bit high though?" "That rate's way above the market average. When I was working for Lin Anwan, even my own salary was only 15,000. My friend seemed to know I was going to ask that. He patted my shoulder and said, "Not too much. After all, once you're drunk, the driver's the one holding your life in his hands." Seeing he had already made up his mind, I didn't object any further. In the days that followed, we threw ourselves completely into the project. Whenever we had a rare moment to relax, I noticed something strange just a while ago. Lin Anwan was constantly posting online, but now she'd gone completely quiet. Even Han Yu-young had become unusually silent, no longer provoking me. I figured they were probably still shaken by what my friend had done last time. I also thought that after everything that happened, Lin Anwan would finally give up and cut things off with me for good. But then, one day, while we were in the middle of our project work, busy and full of fire, wrapping up the final phases, my friend suddenly came to find me. With a mysterious tone, he said to me, "Lin Anwan just called me." I didn't understand and frowned at him, but my friend grew serious. "She probably come to you soon. No matter what decision you make, I'll support you. There's no need to be burdened by old ties. Of course, I still hope you won't be swayed again, Bo." After saying these cryptic words, my friend left. I was completely puzzled, but I didn't dwell on it too long, and quickly turned my focus back to work. Until around noon, I received a call from Lin Anwan. As soon as I picked up, she didn't come at me aggressively like she used to. Instead, she was unusually quiet. So quiet I thought she might have hung up. But when I glanced at the screen, the call was still connected. "Zhang Yin, stop messing around. Can we get back together?" After a moment of silence, her voice came through, hoarse and trembling. I couldn't help but feel it was a bit laughable. Even now, she thought I was the one being childish. I said nothing. Then she continued, "I just called your friend earlier. He said he once wanted you to go with him and chase dreams. But you still chose me instead. I never realized you sacrificed so much for me. I admit, ever since Yu Yang joined the company, I started to overlook you more and more. But we've been together 10 years. We were already talking about marriage. Was our relationship really going to end just because of these 10 months?" His voice was choked with emotion, as if he couldn't utter another word. I paused for a moment. Memories of the past 10 years surfaced. We had been plain but always relied on each other. Whenever trouble came, we encouraged one another. When thorns appeared in our path, we held hands and pushed through the pain. There was a time when Vera brought in investors. I was forced to down 3 large bottles of white liquor. By the time the event ended, I could barely walk. Just before passing out, I saw Alan Lin in tears, holding me up, struggling to dial 911. When I woke up, I was in the hospital, staring at his frail body. I couldn't imagine how he had supported me until the ambulance arrived. I was hospitalized for 7 days. He juggled work at the company while taking care of me. Back then, he must have truly loved me. My thoughts snapped back to the present. I was just about to speak, when suddenly I heard Harry Han's voice from the other end of the line. "Ryan Zhang, please forgive President Lin. I'm really sorry for misleading you these past few days, but I truly had no other intentions. If it makes you uncomfortable, I'll resign tomorrow and never appear in front of you again." This time, Alan Lin didn't stop him, as if silently agreeing to his words. A mess of feelings swirled in my chest. That statement sounded like my relationship was being forcibly dismantled, as if I was the third party interfering between them. So what if they broke up? So what if he resigned? Eventually, Harry Han would become the unreachable white moonbow in his heart. Time would only intensify that emotion, making their love seem even more beautiful. And then one day, it would explode, more violently than ever. I let out a mocking laugh. "Or maybe I can agree to it, but on one condition." "Say it." Alan Lin's voice sounded like he was cutting into his own wrist. I faintly curled my lips. "Give me half the shares of the company, and half of your personal assets." I knew Alan Lin would never agree to it, because those shares and that wealth were the reason Harry Han stayed with him. As expected, there was nearly 5 minutes of silence from Alan Lin's end. In the end, it was Harry Han who couldn't hold back anymore. He blurted out in anger, "Ryan Zhang, your condition is way too much. You're taking away a girl. And building this company wasn't easy. You think just by moving your lips, you can take away half the assets. As a man, don't you find that shameful?" I couldn't be bothered to expose his intentions and return to the mansion. "Alan Lin, we're both adults. There's gain and there's loss. You want to have it all handed to you, while losing absolutely nothing. Why should all the benefits go to you alone? Think clearly about what you want to choose. I'll give you 3 days. After I said that, I hung up immediately. I thought Allinone would give up. But in the evening, he called again. He said half was too much. Asked if I'd consider taking 20% instead. I told him straight half means half, not a single percent less. If he couldn't give that, then don't bother calling again. Still, this whole thing puzzled me. Allinone didn't seem like he wanted to break up. But wasn't it he who brought it up in the first place? That night at the hotel, he said he didn't want people overthinking things. But it was me who initiated the breakup. Even so, that reason didn't seem enough to make him act this way. I didn't dwell on it too much. 3 days passed and Allinone never reached out again. The project was wrapping up, and the final tasks were coming together. On the day the work passed inspection, a friend invited us to a celebration dinner. At the party, everyone let loose. We got home around dawn. I had just finished washing up and laid down to sleep when Allinone called again. My peaceful dream was disturbed. Annoyed, I was ready to hang up. But my vision was still hazy from the drinks, and I accidentally hit the answer button. Hello, are you Mr. Jiang's boyfriend? Miss Lin drank too much at our place. She refuses to go home no matter what. We found your number in her phone. We're worried something might happen. Could you come pick her up? I sobered up a little at that. Sorry, I said. Please find someone else. But Miss Lin insisted it had to be you. She said you had to come get her. She even said if anything happened to her, you'd be the one held responsible. The person on the other end sounded increasingly anxious. I chuckled at that. Sat up and said, all right then, send me the location. The voice on the other end suddenly sounded relieved and happy. After hanging up, they added my contact info right away and sent a location pin. I glanced over at the airplane icon and pressed the emergency contact button, telling the dispatcher the situation and location in red. My phone was on silent, and I slept through the whole night. When I finally woke up, I saw Allinone had called me over a dozen times and sent me dozens of messages. At first, he was shocked that I called the police. Then he flew into a rage, cursing at us, saying all I cared about was profit, not feelings. Eventually, he broke down completely and asked why I was treating him like this. That he only made a small mistake anyone could make, and it wasn't even a real betrayal. So why was I being so heartless? Before I could even finish reading all the messages, his call came in again. My first instinct was to reject it, but then I reconsidered. Even if I went to get him now, if things weren't made clear, he would probably keep pestering me. Thinking that, I pressed the answer button. His voice came through the receiver, hoarse, his mood clearly low. Zhang Yan, I've thought it through. I admit you were right. I can't live without you. You can have half of the 5% share, and half of all the property under my name. Please come back. I raised an eyebrow, glanced at the time. It was already the 5th day. Sorry, I said. The 3 days are long over. I've already changed my mind. Zhang Yan. Alan was just about to say something, but was interrupted by a sudden fit of violent coughing. It took a while. Before his breathing gradually steadied, his voice had turned completely hoarse. How did you become like this? I gave a faint smile, but said nothing. Wasn't he like this before too? Always using the excuse of my monthly quota exceeding 7,000 to deduct my bonuses and salary. Even handed my proposals to Ocean. Now I'm simply giving him a taste of his own medicine. So it's true after all. You don't know pain until the needle pierces your own flesh. He seemed to finally understand my intention, as if realizing at last that I was never after his wealth in the first place. He let out a self-deprecating laugh, bitter and cold. Zhang Yan, I'm starting to not recognize you anymore. Then another violent coughing fit took hold of him. His breathing grew more and more labored, and he sounded utterly miserable. I almost asked what was wrong, but held back, afraid he might take it as concern. So I thought it over and said nothing. But he seemed to know exactly what I was thinking, and murmured to himself, "I have a fever. Zhang Yan, I'm in our old house right now. I bought it back not long ago. I want to know back then when you had a fever. But I wasn't there. Were you feeling as miserable as I do now?" I didn't answer, and he kept waiting. "All those paintings you made for me, they're gone. I searched every corner of the house and couldn't find them. Zhang Yan, did you pack them away? Or did you throw them out?" He babbled on like a child, his voice trembling, and his tone gradually turning aggrieved. Soft rustling came through the phone. He was probably rummaging through the drawers and cabinets. I sighed. "I burned them all." Alan paused for a moment, then suddenly let out a bitter laugh. But as he kept laughing, the laughter came to an abrupt halt, followed by the sound of drawers slamming shut. The room's full of memories of us now. Everywhere I look, it's like we're still living here. But I can't find a single trace of the life we once had together. How could you be so cruel? You just sold the house like that, and cleaned it out so thoroughly. You left so decisively, so completely. What am I supposed to do now? The house in the suburbs. I've already erased Han Yu-yong's name from it. I really wanted to make it up to you. Why won't you even give me that chance? His sobs grew louder. His voice was almost completely hoarse. In the past, my heart would have ached already. I couldn't stand to see him sad or see him like this. But now I understood clearly. He wasn't truly sorry. He was just sick. And emotionally fragile because of it, that's all. Even if he had another chance, he might still walk the same path as before. Don't push yourself anymore. Let Han Yu-yong take you to the hospital, Bo. I still have work. I'm hanging up now, I said. And didn't wait for his reply. I just ended the call. When I made the decision to let go back then, I never intended to turn back. Whether he's doing well or not now has nothing to do with me anymore. I got up to wash and get ready, then drove to the office. And as soon as I arrived at the entrance, I sensed a lively buzz inside. The moment I walked in, the place was filled with joy. Before I could ask anything, they called me over. My friend grabbed my hand excitedly. Beaming with joy, he said, "Our previous project for the client just went live. 80 million views in just 2 hours. They're absolutely thrilled. They've already decided to sign a long-term contract with us. This client is quite famous in the industry. Securing a long-term deal with them is truly something incredible." That month, my friend gave everyone on the project a raise. Everyone was fired up even more. I used my share of the bonus and the money from selling the old house to buy a new place here. This time, I picked the house according to my own tastes. It was farther from the city center, right next to a vast, glimmering lake. When I looked out the window, the view was truly beautiful. I made time to design the interior layout myself again. That previous house had also been entirely my design. Back then, Alan didn't like the graffiti designs from others, and I happened to know his preferences well. So I enrolled in a 2-month interior design class, and under Alan's picky supervision, made countless revisions until that house looked the way it does now. Not to boast, but that house really matched Alan's tastes perfectly. So when he told me he had bought it back that day, I didn't think he did it out of nostalgia. It seemed more likely it was because of the comfort it gave him. I also created a comfortable style for myself this time. Once the design was done, I handed it to a trustworthy construction team. Sometimes after work, I'd still go over to the house myself to check things out and lend a hand when I could. But after running around for several days, my energy began to run low. One day while climbing the stairs, I slipped and injured my leg. After a few days of rest, I had to reduce how often I visited the new house. My friend advised me to rest properly. He said he would keep an eye on the construction for me. But in my heart, I still kept looking forward to how the house would look once finished. That day after work, I just couldn't resist going to the new place again, and had just arrived at the underground garage. I saw a familiar figure standing beside the car. Alan was wearing a trench coat and standing there with a mask on. He looked a lot more haggard than before. There were even faint dark circles under his eyes. I paused in my steps, then walked forward again after a brief moment. "What are you doing here?" I asked. I wasn't surprised that he managed to find this place. He had quite a wide network of contacts. It wouldn't take much effort for him to find something out if he wanted to. Back then, he had simply been too lazy to spend that effort on me. "I have something I need to talk to you about." His voice was hoarse, like he was still recovering from an illness. "Let's talk in the car," he said. "I heard you bought a new place. I came to have a look too. Maybe help you check it over." "No need, let's just talk here," I said. I turned down his kindness. He seemed to have expected that answer from me. His emotions didn't show any sign of unrest. Only his eyes carried a bit more tenderness. He handed me a folder of documents. "This is compensation for you," he said. "I admit that in the past 10 years, I've wronged you in many ways. Whether in the company or at home. You gave a lot, but I never repaid it in time. This contract, take it. Think of it as my compensation for the last 10 years. From now on, I won't bother you anymore." I paused for a moment, then took the documents from his hands. Inside were records from our work over the years, the fines he had imposed on me, the proposals he had taken from me, and compensation for the bonuses he had stripped away. Each item had been doubled in value. There were even things from the past 10 years that he believed he owed me for. At the very end, there was also a bank card. He had written the PIN on it. It was my birthday. I looked at his face without meaning to, wondering whether this was just a new tactic of his, or if he had truly let go this time. When I said I wouldn't bother you again, I meant it. Alan seemed to know exactly what I was thinking. He spoke calmly. "I figured things out. It's time for me to move on too." "That's good," I nodded. I didn't turn him down. I took the documents and the card, because these things had always belonged to me. And deep down I knew, only by accepting them, only then would Anna truly realize that things between us were completely over. Sure enough, the moment I accepted it, I saw a flash of regret in Anna's eyes, a brief sense of loss soon masked by indifference. "So, can I take a look at the new house you bought?" she asked. "You know I haven't been doing well since I left you. I also want to see how you've been doing since leaving me," she explained. I knew it was just an excuse, simply her own obsession. But I also knew her personality well. Once she decided on something, she would follow through. Otherwise, she would never let it go. I didn't want to get tangled up any further. Besides, maybe we'd never see each other again, so it might be good to give things a proper ending. "Let's go," I said, walking toward the car. But just a few steps in, Lynn suddenly rushed over full of emotion. She walked directly in front of me to block the way. I turned and walked in another direction. "I'll give you a ride," she said. "Your leg was injured just a few days ago. It's not convenient for you to drive." I didn't turn her down, but I hadn't expected her to even know about my injury. If it had been in the past, I probably would have been happy. But unfortunately, we couldn't go back anymore. Cherishing something only after losing it meant nothing to me now. I said nothing and followed Lynn to her car. Opened the front passenger door, just about to get in. But right there in the passenger seat, I saw a little stuffed doll. It was properly buckled in with a seatbelt and had a tag attached to it. The tag had the name Yulia written on it, and in small handwriting it read, "When I'm not around, let this doll keep you company, Minnow." There was even a playful little emoji at the end. Lynn probably forgot that it was still there. When she saw the doll, her expression turned slightly awkward. "It's fine, I'll sit in the back," I said, and moved to close the door on my own. But Anna suddenly stopped me. She reached in and swiftly pulled the doll from the front seat, then tossed it into the back. Her movements were clean and sharp. Even I was a bit surprised watching her. Yulia had always liked to show off Anna's affection toward her, whenever she had the chance. If it wasn't a bracelet on her wrist with Anna's name, then it was a white sheet of paper in Anna's office, with his name written boldly on it. Sometimes, even at home, there would be things that belonged to Yulia. He always tried to sneak in chances to make me jealous, trying to force me to give up. At first, I didn't understand his intentions. But after Lynn quarreled with me over it, even once got so angry that she threw his things out. But that time, Anna slapped me hard across the face. "James, are you crazy?" she snapped. "He's just a young guy being childish. But he means well. I just don't want to shout, so that his heart can stay here. Why are you getting so jealous? Do you know how petty you look right now? It makes you seem so undignified." I was completely shattered that day, but slowly I began to understand that this was exactly what Yulia had intended. He wanted to drive me away with these tactics. There was no need for him to go that far, because now we had nothing to do with each other anymore. Even if he was physically here, it didn't matter. I said plainly, "Anna, you don't have to do this. After all, there's nothing between us now. Even if he's around, it doesn't matter anymore." Anna gently bit her lip. "I know you won't believe me. And I know exactly what you're thinking, but I can tell you clearly. Even if we've broken up, I won't be with Yulia. I told you I don't have feelings for him. It's just that when I see him, I remember how helpless you used to be. That's why I helped him so much." I couldn't help but scoff at her self-righteous words. Maybe I would have believed her, but did she forget that when she wrote those sentimental essays under a pen name, with words full of compassion leaning toward the ocean, I too was now just as helpless as I used to be. "There's no point in saying all this anymore. Let's go," I said. I turned around, but Lynn suddenly looked like she remembered something. "I was planning to tell Yulia to move out," she said. Before she could finish her sentence, we heard the loud crash of a lunchbox hitting the floor behind us. And right after that, came Yulia's voice, thick with bitterness and refusal. "Mr. Lin, weren't you sick? Why are you here?" I turned around and happened to see Yulia standing not far away, frozen like the sea, his face full of surprise and a hint of hurt. At his feet was a crushed thermos, clearly smashed, and porridge spilled all over the ground. It looked like a complete mess, but whether it was genuine emotion or just an act, I couldn't really tell. I raised an eyebrow, glanced to the side. Lynn's face next to me looked like she'd just been caught in the act. She panicked for a moment, then quickly recovered her usual composure. Seeing this, I realized his words just now were clearly one-sided wishful thinking, but in his heart, he obviously didn't think so. "Why are you here?" Anna asked calmly, her voice steady. Yulia looked wronged. "You were so seriously ill the other day. I was really worried, so I made some porridge. I just wanted to keep taking care of you, but the moment I got downstairs, I saw you driving away. I didn't know where you were going. I was worried, so I followed you. But now, it seems like they don't need me anymore," he said. With a look of grievance, he squatted down to clean up the spilled thermos and porridge, looking like he'd suffered a deep blow. Anna's expression turned complicated. She seemed like she wanted to say something, but Yulia interrupted her. "Mr. Lin, I understand him. I also hope you and James can get back together. You being good to him is how it should be. I was the one being immature. I'll leave you to it then. I'll finish cleaning up and head out. As he said this, he deliberately glanced at the stuffed bear, tossed in the back seat of the car, lowered his head, and continued to clean up the mess on the ground. Seeing him act so considerate, Anna seemed to be struggling inside. Her feet shifted slightly, but in the end she stayed still. You should go back first, she said. I'll have someone come clean up later. No need, Yulia shook his head. Miss Lin, you don't need to care about me. I'm not the same anymore. Not that little boy who needed your care. When you were sick recently, I took care of you for days. I know how to clean up now. The moment he mentioned taking care of her, Anna's expression clearly became tinged with guilt. But he still forcibly turned his gaze away. Get in the car, he said as he opened the door. I didn't get in. Instead, I told him directly, I'll drive myself there. Go take care of him. We've already broken up. There's no need to put on a show in front of me. After I finished speaking, I clearly saw a flicker of delight flash through Yulia's eyes. Just for a brief moment, he looked over at us. But the words that came out of his mouth were filled with innocence. You broke up? Why? Is James still mad at me? Did I come at a bad time? It has nothing to do with you. We separated on good terms. Anna said that and looked at me. I told you I'd take you there. No matter what happens today. I'll keep my promise. The moment he finished his sentence, Yulia suddenly groaned in pain, clutched his chest and collapsed to the ground. Yulia, what's wrong? Anna's face changed instantly. Without hesitation, she rushed forward and helped him up. Her eyes filled with concern. Yulia's face was pale as he lay on the ground without speaking. Anna grew more and more anxious. She lifted him up and hurried to the car. Just as she was about to place him in the back seat, she suddenly remembered me and glanced at me with hesitation. I knew exactly what she was thinking. A life was at stake. Take him to the hospital. Anna bit her lip, seeming to finally come to a decision. Wait for me at the new apartment. I'll find you right after I take him to the hospital. After she said that, she helped Yulia into the car, then got into the driver's seat herself, watching the car speed off. I remained calm inside. Whether Anna saw through me or not, I didn't know. But what I knew for sure was that Yulia was faking it. Still, that had nothing to do with me. I was just about to drive to Newtown when I got a call from a friend. Turns out the second project had gone viral across the internet, attracting a huge wave of fans. Now some foreign companies were interested in discussing collaboration. My friend wanted me to join him on a business trip at the last minute. I agreed without hesitation. I turned the car around directly and headed to the airport. The plan was very sudden. As soon as we landed, we immediately got to work organizing the presentation materials to ensure smooth communication with the other party. We even prepared a translated version. Before, we knew very little about foreign companies. To avoid messing up, we had to race against time to prepare, presenting every advantage of the company in detail. My friend and I worked so hard that we only slept for hours a day. Sometimes we even fell asleep standing up. Fortunately, hard work paid off in the end. After the meeting ended, the translator informed us the other party thought we were well prepared. The proposal was complete and agreed to cooperate with us. My friend was so happy he hugged me tightly. That night, we finally had a good sleep. I hadn't really checked my messages these days. Only then did I realize Anna had sent me a lot of messages and called many times. That was when I first came abroad. Anna said he was downstairs at the new apartment, asking why I wasn't there. I didn't expect he would really come to find me. After all, whenever something happened with Yulia, he would just push me out of his mind. Thinking it over, I didn't reply. It had been so long anyway. He probably didn't care anymore. Besides, we were no longer connected. Talking about this was meaningless. My friend and I toured around abroad some more, visited the recommended local sites, and then returned home. By the time we got to the airport, it was late at night. After parting ways with my friend, we each went home. I had just laid back on my big bed when loud knocking came from outside the door. The sound echoed noisily down the empty hallway, like someone venting their anger. I thought it was an enemy coming to cause trouble. I angrily went to open the door. But as soon as it opened, a figure suddenly lunged at me. I couldn't avoid it, and the bright spill in my cup made me stumble backwards several steps. The heavy smell of alcohol mixed with a familiar scent hit me. Who else could it be but Anna? I felt helpless. What are you doing here again? I thought we said it was over. Anna smirked and said, "It's really over now. I'm done with it. I got together with Harry. Are you happy now?" He looked at me with a lonely expression. Maybe he still wanted to see a trace of emotion on my face, be it nervousness or some other feeling. But I disappointed him again. He and Harry being together was exactly what I expected. I didn't care about his love life at all. Then why did you come here? Drinking so much in the middle of the night and showing up. Does your boyfriend know? I'll call him to come pick you up. I'm too lazy to cause trouble. I took out my phone, about to call Harry, but Anna suddenly snapped like she was furious, grabbed my phone and threw it out directly. The phone shattered into pieces with a loud crash. Don't you have any feelings at all? Do you know? That day I waited for you the whole night. But you stood me up, just to bet against me. You even flew abroad. He laughed crazily, pointing at me, swaying his body and mocking me. You're such a big liar. Now I really regret ever being with you. If I'd known you were so cold-blooded, we should have broken up back then. Frightened to the point of hysteria, Anna behind the scenes. I was worried it might disturb the neighbors, but also afraid things would get worse if I closed the door. Fortunately, at this moment, Harry rushed over hurriedly. He glared fiercely at me, then pitifully grabbed Anna's arm. Pathetic nonsense. Anna, you've had too much to drink. Let me take you home, okay? Seeing Harry, Anna seemed to regain a bit of composure, calmed down somewhat. He looked at me deeply once more, then turned around, slowly went downstairs with Harry's support. Since then, I rarely heard news about Anna. Harry would occasionally post their sweet moments, but often the posts were deleted within minutes. Soon after, his account was deactivated. From what I heard from friends, Anna's company hasn't been doing well lately. Because of his negligence in management, there was internal turmoil in the company. On top of that, Harry would leave in July, and a large number of employees resigned from Anna's company. I wanted to stop the course of events, but it was already too late. Some colleagues I was close to even came to me and my friend. They had once worked on projects with our company. My friend and I, without telling each other, all decided to keep them from their mouths. I also heard some of Anna's private panic. Apparently, she and Harry argued frequently, sometimes even in the office, arguing openly in front of everyone. At first, Harry would apologize proactively, but after 2 or 3 times, he dared to slam the table and confront Anna. Once it got completely out of control, Harry's last-minute plan for the client caused the company to lose tens of thousands. Anna flew into a rage and fired Harry on the spot. But they still seemed to be living together, though their relationship got worse. Once I saw them go to the hospital, probably from frostbite. Even the colleagues sighed, thankful my mind was clear, stopping the loss in time. After all, Anna's company is very different now, and the company's situation is much worse than before. Fortunately, I stepped out just in time. Otherwise, who knows how I'd be trapped in that vicious cycle. I didn't say much. Anna came this far step by step. Success and failure both depended on her. Once she took the wrong path, she never intended to turn back. During this time, my friend's company was booming. The foreign project was successfully wrapped up, and they signed a new contract. In just 3 short months, they achieved what was originally planned for a whole year. In the next few days, my friend and I discussed expanding the business. We agreed on the idea, but after considering many factors, we gave up. After a few days of discussion, the new plan was still undecided. We even had some arguments, but my friend was different from Anna. He wasn't so stubborn. When I used to have conflicts working with Anna, she insisted on doing things her way, right or wrong. Otherwise, the plan couldn't be implemented. It had to be shelved. But my friend would listen carefully to my opinions. Even when I raised objections, our conflicts matured more and more through clashes. That day, after another argument with my friend, I returned home exhausted. The new apartment was fully renovated, ready to move in. I sank into the bathtub, feeling much more relaxed all over, as I pondered how to move things forward. The phone rang. I wiped my hands, picked up the phone. The caller ID showed Anna. I raised an eyebrow slightly. The last time we met was half a year ago, since the day he was taken away by Harry. I hadn't seen him since. Sometimes at business banquets, we would just greet briefly before turning away. But after each meeting, I could always feel Harry's burning and malicious gaze. I could understand. It was the malice of the present lover toward the ex. But after all this time, Anna was already by his side, and he still held a grudge that I could not understand. Wondering what he wanted to say, I still answered the call. He said his water pipe at home was broken. Could I come help fix it? The moment he answered, I heard his hoarse voice, as if he had just been crying. I was a little curious, not understanding why he would contact me. In the past, whenever something broke at home, no matter what I was busy with, he would rush back to fix it. But now that we had broken up, it wasn't appropriate for him to contact me. After a few seconds of silence, Anna finally said, "Did I break up with Harry a few days ago? And the company also fired him. We hardly had any contact anymore." I was a bit surprised. Before I could ask, his voice choked up. I already tried calling a repairman, but it was too late. I know you don't want to see me now, but I really have no other way. It's too late and I don't know who else to ask. He sobbed twice, his tone desperate. The sharp sound of wind came from outside. I keenly sensed something was wrong. "Where are you now?" Anna took half an hour before reaching the rooftop. I couldn't help but recall when we first started the company. Because of decision problems, the company suffered heavy losses. Anna's spirit was almost broken. She woke up in the middle of the night and climbed onto the windowsill. Luckily, I noticed it in time. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. I thought she was rational enough. Never expected she would do something so foolish. If I didn't know, of course, I wouldn't have contacted him proactively. But now knowing he might be in danger, I simply couldn't stand by and do nothing. After thinking for a moment, I sighed. "Wait for me, I'll quickly change clothes." I drove back to this familiar place. As soon as I opened the door, I saw Anna with terror-red eyes. The water pipe had burst. Water was all over the floor. I took off my shoes and walked in. Found it was just a loose joint. I twisted it a few times with my tool and fixed it. The community had good waterproofing. No need to worry about flooding the downstairs. Just clean up the water properly. After reminding her a few times, I stood up to leave. But after only a few steps, a pair of hands suddenly wrapped tightly around my waist. "Jason, do you still have feelings for me?" she asked. "Otherwise, you wouldn't have come here." "Sorry, it was my fault before. I know my mistakes now. Can we go back to how we were? She leaned on me, crying and smoking behind my back. I was a little annoyed. Pushed his hands away. You're mistaken. I'm not here volunteering. The repair fee is 100. Alipay or WeChat? Anna looked at me. Her lips trembled. After a moment, she finally took her phone out of her pocket, transferred two payments to me. One of them was an extra 10,000. I transferred the excess money back to her, showing her the screen. Now it's settled. Settled, she repeating my words. Then she gave a bitter smile. I ignored her afterward and left the community directly. Outside, I encountered a stray cat. I took 100 yuan and bought a sausage from the nearby supermarket, placed it in front of the cat. Then I finally drove home. Soon I understood. Anna had also let go. A month after the project launched, I received a lawsuit from his company. The evidence was complete. Besides the receipt evidence and transfer records, there was also a video. It was recorded on the day I fixed Anna's water pipe. The video was edited, only showing me searching for tools in the room. Anna deliberately took my words out of context, claimed I was searching for confidential files at that time. The video was uploaded online by someone unknown, spreading wildly and causing a stir. The project was popular. Many people disliked it. They spread rumors aggressively. The onlookers didn't understand the truth. If people find out, I would jump ship from Anna's company to a friend's company, then saw the development teams of both companies from a year ago. And they believed I stole core secrets. Everyone followed suit, shouting insults. Some even wanted to despise me. I was taken to the police station, met Anna late at night, saw the look in his eyes. Avoiding my gaze, I understood. Maybe you and Henry never broke up. Is that so? The person who stole the secrets causing the company near bankruptcy actually was Henry. That day you lied to me about the broken water pipe. It was actually to make me part of your plan. I was full of doubts. At the villa that time, I noticed many strange things, like the men's slippers at the entrance, cigarette butts in the bathroom trash can, blue velvet curtains hanging on the window, which he hated the most. At first, I didn't think much about the curtains. Assumed after he got together with Henry, his temper had changed. But now it seems some things don't change. Anna was filled with bitterness. I didn't want it to be like this. He was younger than me, still had many chances. I couldn't destroy him because of one wrong thought. What about me? What should I say? I've been with you for 9 years. Helped you so much. And you can just destroy me without remorse? Anna, don't you really remember how I pulled you out of the mud? Anna's body slightly trembled. He instinctively shifted his weight. He came from the mountains, where sons were favored over daughters. Any mistake would bring beatings from his parents. He got into university, but was forced back to marry. I took all my money, bought off his ties to his family. At the moment of freedom, he cried and hugged me, saying we must depend on each other from now on. But now he abandons me for someone else and pushes me into the abyss because of that person's mistakes. I still looked at him with the last shred of hope. Cold, feigned foolish words from his crimson lips. Just consider it my fault, he said. Then he turned and walked away, watching his back. The last trace of affection I had for him vanished completely. He didn't know the one about to be thrown into the abyss next was him, not me. A week later, the trial began as scheduled. My friend's company was well known. The matter had escalated greatly. The judge was live streaming online. The anxious lawyer presented all the evidence, relentlessly, trying to trap me with every word. Anna sat beside me, silent, not daring to even look at me. Henry sat in the audience. His gaze on me was once again proud and mocking, as if he was certain I would lose. But when my friend presented the prepared evidence, both of them were stunned. My friend also played a recording of Anna and Henry's conversation. Clear and unmistakable. The entire courtroom knew their scheme, knew Henry betrayed the company's secrets, causing the company to lose development opportunities and be burdened with huge penalties. In the recording, Henry cried out to Ms. Anna, "I'm still young, and your womb carries my child. Do you really want to see our child born without a father? I know I was wrong. You can hit me, scold me, even kill me, but please don't leave me." Then came the sound of a slap. It sounded more like Henry holding Anna's wrist, slapping his own face. After all, he was skilled at such fake suffering. Henry sat in the audience. His proud expression vanished. He couldn't sit still any longer. This recording couldn't be fake. It was their downfall. He snarled, trying to grab the recording. But before leaving his seat, staff pinned him down immediately. "I will only help you this once." Anna's cold and ruthless voice echoed. The courtroom sighed in shock. Many people cursed loudly. I looked toward Anna. He seemed to have already guessed this outcome. His face turned pale. He didn't make any extreme moves. The judge looked at Anna, asking if she confirmed the authenticity of the recording and if there was any evidence to refute it. Everyone in the courtroom looked at him, waiting for his next move. Henry's eyes were bloodshot, urgently asking Anna to clarify the facts, claiming the recording was fake. Anna slowly stood up and walked toward Henry. The staff saw his calm mood, so they didn't intervene much. Henry thought she wanted to discuss a strategy. He sighed with relief. His expression brightened with excitement. Lowering his voice, he said, "Hurry and find a way to clear this up. Tell them this recording is fake. You need to be rational. You and James have already broken up. Don't hold on anymore." Before he finished speaking, Anna grabbed his hand and fiercely slapped him. Her voice clear and firm. "The recording is real. I admit it was me who maliciously slandered James." Everyone there heard clearly. The live chat suddenly flooded with messages again, cursing Anna and Henry loudly. Henry completely broke down, his eyes blood red. He struggled hysterically trying to grab Anna, but was helpless. Finally, the staff pressed him firmly to the ground. Anna walked over to me. At the scene, she asked why I had prepared in advance. I remained calm and told her the whole story. It turned out that shortly after I left Anna, my friend had already discovered their scheme and warned me to be careful. That day when I went to Anna's place to fix the plumbing, I knew I might fall into their trap, but I went anyway. After the project exploded in success, my friend and I planned to acquire Anna's company, but there was never a good chance. Then Anna delivered one. It was the perfect opportunity. I was hesitant at first, but Anna's complete indifference that day made me resolute. I spoke every word quietly. Anna smiled calmly. "So that's how it is." Looking at her smile, I felt a chill down my spine. I instinctively sensed that something was wrong. A blinding flash of light pierced through. I saw Lynn secretly holding a razor blade in her hand. Just as I was about to make a move, she suddenly turned around with lightning speed. Her hand rose, the blade fell. In the next second, Hanyu, who had just been hysterical, had her throat slit. Her eyes widened as she collapsed in a pool of blood. The staff never expected her to act like a wild animal. They realized too late and tried to stop her, but it was already over. Lynn, without any hesitation, slit her own wrist. As she fell, she lifted her head and gave me a gentle smile, as if to say, "This is the last time. Let me help you." The scene descended into utter chaos. Someone called an ambulance. Soon, both were taken to the hospital. Hanyu died after failed emergency treatment. Lynn had lost too much blood, but fortunately, they managed to save her. However, the child in her belly could not be kept. She was arrested by the police for intentional homicide and sent to prison. She was sentenced to death. After public opinion online reversed, a friend who had planned to acquire Lynn's company eventually gave up on the idea. He agreed with me. That kind of approach was immoral. In the end, we still chose to advance step by step, slowly moving toward our goal. What was strange was, that very day, Lynn's lawyer came to find me, saying she had made a will, transferring all her shares and property. After Han Yu's death, I had full control over everything. I thought it over and changed the name of the company, transformed its nature. Now our services were aimed at all companies, helping them investigate the true background of employees on blacklists. And the fee was very low. Even the smallest company could place an order. In this way, we helped ordinary workers who had unknowingly ended up on industry blacklists. I stood atop the once glorious building, looking down beneath my feet. From then on, life went smoothly for me, and my career flourished. From Lynn's perspective, after breaking up with me, she lived each day in anxiety and regret. She admitted she had favored Han Yu and Yang Liu, but the one she truly loved the most was me. She never thought that love and favoritism had to conflict. When Han Yu asked when they'd break up, she brushed it off and said, "Just wait a little longer." He knew Han Yu Yang would wait for me and wouldn't break up with him. After all, we had been together for 10 years. He believed I wouldn't give up on us. So the day I suggested we break up, he didn't take it too seriously. At first, he thought I was just busy, until he noticed that I was becoming colder and more distant, until my gaze toward him held no more love. Only then did he finally panic. He tried to win me back, but I shut him out again and again. Han Yu Yang tried to help him think of a way, saying that a man understands a man best. So he followed Han Yu Yang's advice and flaunted his new relationship in front of me. He even sent me a prenatal checkup notice, but he didn't understand. I only felt farther and farther away from him. When I stood him up and fled abroad to avoid him, he completely broke down. He couldn't understand why he had humbled himself so much. In a fit of rage, he accepted Han Yu Yang's confession. When he heard I had returned to the country, he drank a lot. He couldn't remember what happened that day, only that he might have gone looking for me. Or maybe he was dragged away by Han Yu Yang. A month later, he discovered he was pregnant, but his company was falling apart. He worked tirelessly day and night investigating, only to find out that the person who betrayed him was Han Yu Yang. He collapsed completely. Han Yu Yang arrogantly regretted nothing in front of him, yet he softened and decided to help him anyway. He thought I had already succeeded by now, that even if I was delayed, it wouldn't affect me much. But Han Yu Yang was still young. He wanted to give him a chance. That day, I helped him fix the leaking water pipe and took out the trash on the way. He stood on the bedroom balcony, watching me crouch down, feeding a stray. After I left, Han Yu Yang returned from the other end of the street. He walked up to the kitten, paused for 2 seconds, then suddenly raised his foot and viciously kicked the little kitten that was peacefully eating right in the side. At that moment, he felt as if struck by lightning. He suddenly realized he had rotted inside and out, but thankfully, he still had one last chance to turn back. He felt like he had never truly helped me in this life. So just this once he decided to help me as his redemption. The end.